Hello everyone. Today and in this video I'm going to show you how you can define resource inside of the Microsoft project. What we discussed so far in lesson 1 and lesson 2 was covering the calendar and also tasks. But now we are going to use different view on Microsoft project, and we are going to work on resource, how we can define resource inside of the Microsoft project. So far, we used the default view inside of the Microsoft project, which we call Gantt chart. Okay. And we can use it to define tasks. I'm in another video later, I'm going to show you and explain you how you can define and create your own views. But in this video, for the resource, for the first time we are going to use another view inside of the Microsoft project. You can reach it from here resource. We were working on project and tasks so far. Now we can use the resource tab, and here we can use that we need to use, where is it, resource sheet. Okay, resource sheet. It's only a table without a graph. It's similar to Gantt chart. Let me move back to Gantt chart. See, here you have a table section. This is a table, and you have a graph, the Gantt graph, okay, for each task. Here for resource, we only have a sheet. Okay, let's see what are the fields here and what you can define. I break this video into two parts. Part 1, defining the basic information about each resource, and part 2, it's like an advanced version of defining the resource. Okay, so let's start defining resource inside of the Microsoft project with the basic information. First field here is resource name. It's just a name. You can put, for example, Mustafa. You can put engineer, ENG. You can put, for example, worker. You can put a name of a contractor, a company. For example, I don't know, Google. You let me put, for example, cement. Okay. I can put, I don't know, crane. Okay, to lift stuff. This is the first field. It's just a name. You can use any name, X, Y, whatever. Okay, similar to the task name. But remember, this one is resource name. The next field is type. By default, when you create a resource, the type is work. Okay, but there are two other types: material, cost. Mustafa, engineering team, worker, even Google, are, the type is work. It is consuming it is consuming the hours from the resource. It's based on hours, based on the day. The type is work, okay? But cement, we are consuming cement in our project, for example. Cement type is different. Cement is a material that we consume for our project. Crane also is a work. The number of hours that we need crane in our project, it is linked to time. We consume hours, we consume days, we consume time from this type of resource. So it's work, it's not a material, okay? But cement, stone, wood is a material that we use inside of our project, okay? The next one is cost, the cost type, okay? I am not explaining more here about the cost because it's similar to a field inside of the Microsoft project, which is fixed cost. And once I explain the usage of the fixed cost inside of the Microsoft project, I'm gonna explain this resource. It works similar, okay? But for now, park it aside and just know that there is a resource type as a cost, okay? Next one, material label. Next field is material label. You cannot define material label for work because material label for work is time, okay? But for example, cement, you can put a label, for example, kg, kilogram, okay? Or let me put, for example, pipeline, or for example, for pipeline, the material label is meter, okay? It's just a label. It is not affecting on calculation. It is not affecting on any process inside of the Microsoft project. It's just a label for, so someone else try to open your project file, view that you are consuming the cement on a specific task, and you, for example, if you put 5, but 5 of what? 5 kilogram, for example, here, or 10 meter here, okay? So it's a label to give better information on how you consider that material for your project, how you want to consume, how you want to provide that material for your project. It is not affecting on any calculation inside of the Microsoft project. It is only for a label for more information, additional information about that, how you want to consider that material on your project, okay? The next field is initials. It is just it's just a text that automatically pick the first letter or first 2 letters of your resource from the first field, okay? You can change it if you want, but at the beginning it put the initials of the name on this field. You later, when we discuss about how you can create a filter, how you can create a group inside of the Microsoft project, you may want to use this field. It's not very important because there are other fields that you can use for same purpose, and honestly this one is not important. Group also same, exactly same. It's just a text. You can put a value, for example, group A, this one, group B. Later you can use it for reporting. We are going to have a separate session for reporting and data structure inside of the Microsoft project. This field can be useful for that session. But for now, just remember, it's just a text labeled as a group, similar to initial. The only difference is on for this field, Microsoft automatically fill with the initials of that resource. Okay. This one, max units. By default, it is filled by 100%. It is important for you to this field is important, and for you it is very important to understand what exactly 100% means. This one, Mustafa, is a work. and max unit is 100%. What exactly it means? Remember, the base calendar here is mentioned as standard. The base calendar was 8 hours working day, right? Okay. So 100% of Mustafa is equal to 8 hours. Okay. If the working hours per day for you is 8 hours, 100% of Mustafa is 8 hours. 8 hours availability of these resources daily. If I put it 200%, it means availability of Mustafa for your project daily is 200%. Means if each working day is 8 hours, it means Mustafa is available to work for 16 hours. If it's 10 hours per day, then Mustafa's availability for your project is daily 20 hours. Okay? But you may say, what if I put 500? Then 500 means 50 hours per day. But you may say, oh, is it possible? Even if Mustafa is a superhuman, then each day is 24 hours. How Mustafa can fill the work, can be available for 50 hours per day? It's not possible, right? Yes, but the point is, here, this one, as I mentioned, is just a name. It's just a name. You need to consider it, Mustafa, maybe is the name of a team. So Mustafa's team availability for you is 500%, which means 50 hours. Or in another way, I can say I have 5 people working every day, 5 people available to work every day for 10 hours. Same for engineering. If I put 300%, it means I have 303 engineer every day available to work, and each day is 10 hours. So I have 30 hours of engineering team available to use in my project. Okay. You may say, I don't want to use the percentage. Percentage is a little bit confusing. It's better to use the decimal value. So you can go to option, file, option, then on display, let me see, it was display, no, schedule, schedule here, show assignment unit as decimal. Okay. You may say this one is more makes sense, but it's same 3 or 300%. Okay, just remember, if it's based on percentage, do not put 3. But these 3 also, remember, these 3 also, it doesn't mean specifically 3 separate person. It means 3 multiple 10 hours per day. So it means from engineering team, I have 30 hours available per day. That 30 hours per day may be covered by 10 different person, okay? Or maybe 3 specific person. Worker or Google, same work. But for material, you cannot define any max value. At first, you may find it a little bit confusing. Why I cannot define max value for material? Okay, why it's not? I cannot put any value for material. Why I cannot say for cement I have 100 kilogram? Why I cannot? The concept behind this point is, let's say you have a scope for your project, and for your project you need to use 10 kilogram of cement. Okay, you cannot finish the scope of work if you have 9 kilograms, right? 1 kilogram is missing, right? So if you try to build something with 9 kilogram, it means that what you delivered in your project is not same. It cannot be same as the plan, because your plan was to consuming 10 kilogram. You're supposed to build something with 10 kilogram of cements, but now you have 9 kilogram. So you cannot finish your project. The scope, basically the scope is changed. But let's say I have but work is different. Work is a little bit different. You can finish a task with 5 people, right? You can finish a task with 5 people. Still, you can finish the same scope with 1 person, but definitely it will impact on the duration. You can increase the duration, finish the task with 1 person, or reduce the task, reduce the duration of the task with 5 people, because they are working together, they help each other, and the working hours per day increase when you have 5 resources, and they can finish the task faster, right? But it's different for material resource. For material resource, you cannot say, okay, and I have 9 kilogram and I will finish the work that I supposed to finish with 10 kilogram. No, you cannot do that. You need 10 kilogram of cement to finish the task. Okay, that's the mindset behind this point. And yes, I know what you have on your mind, that you may say, on the reality, how we plan to receive the material is not aligned with this assumption, because Microsoft project assumption is when you start the work, you will have all the material that you need to complete that scope. But you say it is not the case on actual project, because we receive the material partially, and over time we receive the complete material. How we can consider it in our planning? Okay, it's a little bit yes, true. Microsoft project has nothing to offer on this case. Microsoft project assumption is, if you have a material, you need to have all the material you need to complete the task. But there is some way. That's the beautiful part about the milestones. There is some trick, basically some tricks that you can use to cover this point. You can have on your project plan, you can define a milestone to specify, okay, on this specific day we receive 3 kilogram of cement, so we can start working on task 1, task 2, task 3. On this day, another day, we will receive 6 kilogram of cement. You define it as a task and as a milestone. You are not going to define it inside of the resource sheet. I personally prefer Microsoft find a solution for this one, so you can define it also here on resource sheet. But anyway, you can use milestone and define it inside of your project plan as a task. It's not a task as a task, it's a milestone task. Actually, it's a milestone task. And apply this limitation on your resource on that way. I have the test that I designed, and at the end of the series, these tutorials, all the videos, at the end I'm going to create new video to solve that test. On that video, you will see that we have similar case on that test, and to solve that I have to use this technique and use the milestone. if I remember correctly. Maybe I mistake, I didn't include that, but anyway, in future videos I'm going to show you and define it as a milestone and see how it works. But I believe it's clear for you. It's clear for you now, I hope. But if you have a question on this point, let me know. The next field is a standard rate. You have a standard rate, you have an overtime rate, okay? For work, you can say, for example, $10 per hour, for example, or $20 per hour. You can define it with different different format. For example, $100 per day, or $100 per week, okay? And for overtime, maybe you say $10 per hour. You can use different format for overtime, and you can use different format for a standard. This is for work, okay? But for material, you cannot define it based on time. You define it, for example, I don't know, $200. Let's say each kilogram of cement is $200, okay? And there is no overtime for material, because there is no time, it is not linked to time. So material, there is no overtime, there is only a standard rate, and there is no time based. It's basically per unit, okay? And even if you try, it will give you an error, okay? Then for cost, all of these points that I discussed, you cannot define anything for cost, okay? So that's one of the reasons that I park the cost type aside, and we will explain the cost later when I discuss about the fixed cost and a structure of the cost inside of the Microsoft project. I think it is after the resource assignments lesson. This lesson is only for defining the resource inside of the Microsoft project. We are going to have another video for resource assignment. The next field, and it's important, is cost per use. Cost per use. Cost per use, let's say, let me put 300. But also you cannot put it as day, okay? It's one time, it's fixed value, one time. And cost per use. Cost per use. It is a cost that Microsoft project consider it for a task that you assign this resource only one time. Only one time. Let me, don't try. Still, for this lesson, you are going to use this view, okay? I'm going to show you another view, but you can forget what I'm doing here. Just see the result, only the result. Please ignore what I'm doing. What was that, Mustafa? Okay, let me make it 3 days. Should be fine. Okay, now let me go to task usage. Don't worry, we are going to have a separate sessions, very detailed on this, okay? But for now, I want to show you how Microsoft project used the cost per use, okay? Cost per use. Here I set $100 per week, overtime 10 hour, $10 per hour, and cost per use is 200. Now let me go back to task usage. Okay, let me add cost, remove, let me keep the work. Okay, so Mustafa is a resource that assigned to this task, and on first day the cost of this resource for the first day is $220. The next day is $20. The next day is $20. 200 plus 20. The first day, the cost of first day from the source is Mustafa. The source of this cost is Mustafa. And how Microsoft calculated is 200 cost per use, because Mustafa is assigned to this task for the first time at the beginning. It considered $200 plus for 8 hours it costs $20. So $220 total cost for this task from Mustafa. Okay, don't worry about this view. Okay, ignore it for now. We are going to have a very detailed discussion on this view later. Okay, let me move back to this one. So I want to tell you what is the cost usage. You've seen that, right? But remember, every time you assign Mustafa to any task, just for the assigning the Mustafa on that task, it considered $200. Even if Mustafa is working on that task 1 hour or 200 hours, doesn't matter. These amounts will charge for that specific task. Okay. And you have it also for material. Okay. And the next field is accrue at. You have 3 options: start, prorated, end. It is saying how you want to calculate the cost for inside of your project from this resource. If I put it start, let me go back to task usage and let's see the difference. If I go back to resource task usage, you will see now all the cost for that resource is calculated for that task at the beginning of the task. So the second and third day is 0 cost, and the beginning, the day 1 has 260. Basically 200 is from cost per use, 20 is from work from day 1, another 20 is from day 2, and another 20 is from day 3, but all together 260. It is considered at the beginning of the task. It is very important when you want to have cost planning, and it's very important when you want to have this discussion on the budgeting of the project, because it is telling you at what time how much money you need. Okay. We will discuss more about this point during the budgeting, and you will see how important it is. But for now, by default, inside of the Microsoft project, the value is prorated, and if you need, you can change it. The next one is the calendar, and it's very important. As I mentioned, each resource can have separate calendar. Okay. If I open, by default, it is assigned the project calendar. If the project calendar inside of the project information, I hope you remember this point because it was a lesson 1. Let's say the project calendar was night shift, and if you create new resource, www, then by default, the base calendar for that resource is night shift. Okay, that's why here it's populated as a standard. Okay, so if you define your calendar first, and if you assign your project calendar correctly on project information, when you define the resource, you don't need too much worry, because by default it is using the project calendar. Okay, and you can change for maybe some of the resources have different calendar. You can define new calendar for them. Okay, you can just select them here. Okay. important point here, because let me go here. Standard project. Remember change working time? See, there is a difference here. If I'm going to a resource sheet and then project change working time, then there is a difference. See, here it's mentioned for calendar, a specific name, let's say Mustafa, base calendar standard, okay, and you can I don't know, let's see, let me create exception, okay, then press OK, right? Then what happened is, although it is saying a standard here, but what Microsoft Project did is Microsoft Project created a copy of a standard, a new calendar for Mustafa, and this calendar for Mustafa on 17th of April, it's public holiday. Okay, this is something that I don't like. Let me explain why, and let me go back to the Gantt chart and project change working time. Here, if I open this section, you can see for each resource, Microsoft created basically a kind of a calendar, different base calendar, and you can just modify it. Okay, why I don't like to do it in this way is still Microsoft, where is it, resource sheet, showing the calendar of this resource as a standard, but it's not. You know it's not, because the calendar is different, although if the base is same, but it's different for this resource compared to other resources. Okay, that's something that I don't like. If you want, it's fine, you can do it, but I personally don't like to do it in this way. What I like the approach that I prefer to do is from task, like what you did for the project, goes to change working time, create new solid calendar with different name for that specific resource, and here just assign it to it. Okay, so remember, if you go from resource sheet, if you try to go to project change working time, no, it's different now. Change working time, the concept is a little different. Okay, and I personally, based on my experience, based on what I faced during the reporting, later during the reporting of the project, when you want to search to see if a resource has a different, because later you want to do resource align, resource leveling, you want to do you perform update your project plan, you suddenly you see something is not correct, something is not aligned, but when you come to the resource sheet, you see that all the resources has the same calendar. You cannot see if a resource has a different calendar, and there might be a conflict. It is not, for me, based on my experience, it wasn't very smooth and handy for troubleshooting and reporting. So I personally prefer to create a very separate solid calendar for the resource and assign it directly. Okay, but if you find it that this approach is better, more convenient, feel free to use it. As long as the end result is same, that's fine. Try and see which one is more convenient. For me, I prefer to create separate calendar. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but for now, at least for now, I prefer to do in this way. Put a comment if you know this approach is better. Put a comment and explain why. I will check it. Okay, calendar and code. it's just similar to group, similar to initial. You can use it for the reporting. I didn't explain the reporting data structure inside of the Microsoft project, so I cannot explain it more. But later, when I explain the data structure inside of the Microsoft project and how you can use different tables, different views, and create a report, then you will see how you can use it. But for now, it's just a text similar to group and initial. Okay, and it's not important. It is not affecting on your calculation. This was part one. The very generic approach to define resource. Let me put it back. Additional information I forgot to mention for the part one. On file option, on display, you can change the symbol, you can change the placement of the currency, you can even change the currency. But if you change the currency here, remember, it will apply for all resources. You cannot have different currency for each resource. And remember, it doesn't matter if you put, I don't know what is SRD, and then put a symbol like GG, whatever, okay? It is, by default, if you put USD, where is it? Where is it? USD. Why I cannot find it? Cancel file option display USD. You can put it here as a USD and type JJ. It is not linked. It is giving you a hint, giving you an option, but you can use other symbol if you want. Okay. Decimal digit for some currencies you have, for some currencies you don't. Just check if you need it or not. You can remove it. It is 2 digits after the after this number, 200.2 digits. Okay, then I think we're good. Let me, yeah, we're good. I put the symbol 200. If you want, return it back and or put whatever you need. Okay, and this is part one. Part two is the advanced model to define resource, and we will cover it in next video.